1. When mentoring a new NCIC operator, which approach best aligns with adult learning principles to ensure knowledge retention? A. Requiring them to memorize all NCIC codes before practical training. Providing immediate access to a simulation system for hands-on experience. C. Delivering lengthy lectures on NCIC policies without interaction. D. Assigning written reports on NCIC regulations. 2. Which evaluation method best measures an operator's ability to comply with NCIC hit confirmation procedures under stress? A. Multiple choice written exam. B. Role-play with time scenario simulations. C. Group discussion of past errors. D. Peer evaluation through surveys. 3. When creating a curriculum for NCIC certification, which element ensures alignment with regulatory compliance requirements? A. Including case studies based on real NCIC audits. B. Providing personal anecdotes from experienced operators. C. Emphasizing memorization of outdated procedures. D. Limiting training to general law enforcement practices. 4. A supervisor wants to evaluate NCIC trainee performance while reinforcing compliance. Which approach is most effective? A. Standardized skills checklists tied to NCIC regulations. B. Open-ended essay on why NCIC is important. C. Informal peer feedback without documentation. D. Self-paced, independent reading of NCIC manuals. 5. In developing communication strategies for NCIC hit confirmations, what should be emphasized during training? A. Using technical jargon to ensure accuracy. B. Prioritizing brevity over clarity in urgent cases. C. Clear, structured communication with required identifiers. D. Allowing flexibility in wording. 6. When mentoring, how can a senior NCIC operator best support a learner struggling with complex code entries? A. Repeating the same lecture content. B. Assigning additional reading with no guidance. C. Demonstrating step-by-step entry in real time. D. Reducing practice time to prevent frustration. 7. Which adult learning strategy best motivates experienced law enforcement officers in NCIC recertification? A. Emphasizing penalties for non-compliance. B. Encouraging learner autonomy and self-directed study. C. Removing opportunities for discussion to save time. D. Limiting instruction to slideshows without interaction. 8. When evaluating NCIC training effectiveness, which measure provides the strongest evidence of knowledge transfer? A. Number of hours attended. E. Pre- and post-test performance comparisons. C. Trainee satisfaction survey responses. D. Instructor self-reflection reports. 9. Which mentoring approach ensures long-term retention of NCIC error correction procedures? A. Reviewing corrections during annual recertification only. B. Providing feedback immediately after observed errors. C. Allowing trainees to guess corrections independently. D. Using only written documentation for later study. 10. In curriculum development, how should NCIC compliance updates be integrated? A. As optional appendices to avoid disrupting existing materials. E. By embedding updates into case-based learning modules. C. By presenting updates only at the end of the course. D. By distributing updates in separate unlinked documents. 11. Which communication skill is most critical when confirming an NCIC hit with another agency? A. Using agency-specific slang to show familiarity. Following required verification protocols precisely. C. Keeping information vague to protect confidentiality. D. Speaking as quickly as possible to reduce call time. 12. During evaluation, Which tool best identifies gaps in trainee decision-making regarding NCIC entries? A. Observation checklists during live simulations. B. A standardized vocabulary quiz. C. Written reflections on NCIC principles. D. Instructor-led debates on policy issues. 13. When designing NCIC training modules, which instructional method best addresses diverse learning styles? A. Incorporating a mix of lectures, role play, and simulations. B. Requiring all trainees to study only through written manuals. C. Using identical teaching methods for every learner. D. Delivering content exclusively through online text. 14. Which mentoring technique promotes self-efficacy in NCIC trainees? A. Assigning independent tasks with constructive follow-up feedback. B. Minimizing trainee responsibility until final testing. C. Correcting errors without explanation to save time. D. Reducing practice opportunities to prevent mistakes. 15. What is the most effective way to ensure regulatory compliance during NCIC curriculum delivery? A. Embedding compliance checkpoints into each learning activity. B. Emphasizing compliance only during the final review. C. Encouraging trainees to research compliance independently. D. Allowing instructors to decide which compliance areas to cover. 16. Which evaluation method best tests an operator's skill in handling urgent NCIC entries? A. Timed practical exercises in a controlled environment. B. A closed-book, written multiple-choice exam. C. An oral presentation on urgency in NCIC. D. Reviewing trainee journals. 17. When communicating audit requirements to NCIC trainees, which method ensures understanding? A. Sending audit guidelines without explanation. B. Reviewing sample audit findings in group discussion. C. Asking trainees to memorize audit policy text. D. Limiting training to one-way presentations. 18. Which mentoring approach builds trust between experienced NCIC operators and new trainees? A. Encouraging open discussion of mistakes without judgment. B. Withholding feedback until formal evaluations. C. Avoiding trainee questions to maintain authority. D. Limiting mentorship to procedural instruction only. 19. When developing NCIC training assessments, which principle of adult learning should be prioritized? Assessments should reflect real-world tasks and responsibilities. B. Assessments should be limited to short answer questions. C. Trainees should only be tested on memorized material. D. Tests should be identical regardless of learner background. 20. In structuring NCIC recertification modules, which strategy enhances knowledge retention? A. Incorporating scenario-based learning linked to operator roles. B. Presenting long theoretical lectures without application. C. Eliminating practice to prioritize efficiency. D. Requiring trainees to study manuals independently. 21. Which communication method ensures clarity during NCIC system downtime? A. Using established fallback procedures with precise terminology. B. Relying on informal text messaging between agencies. C. Allowing trainees to improvise based on judgment. D. Minimizing detail to shorten communication. 22. When evaluating the effectiveness of a mentoring program for NCIC operators, which data is most useful? A. Supervisor observations of performance improvements. B. Trainee opinions of mentor personalities. C. Number of hours mentors and trainees met. D. Mentor self-reported confidence levels. 23. What is the most effective way to reinforce NCIC HIT confirmation rules in curriculum design? A. Embedding them into interactive case scenarios. E. Limiting instruction to policy documents. C. Having trainees copy rules by hand. D. Discussing rules without application exercises. 24. Which mentoring strategy best ensures accountability in NCIC compliance training? A. Setting measurable performance goals with regular review. B. Allowing trainees to define their own success metrics. C. Reducing evaluation to final exam scores only. D. Avoiding correction to promote independence. 25. During NCIC training, which evaluation tool best measures communication skills? A. Observed role play of interagency hit confirmations. B. Multiple choice test on communication theory. C. Group brainstorming on communication barriers. D. Self-reported communication confidence scales. 26. Which adult learning principle is most relevant when teaching NCIC updates to experienced operators? A. Linking new updates to operators' prior experiences. E. Presenting updates without context to save time. C. Using generic examples unrelated to NCIC duties. D. Encouraging passive listening without discussion. 27. When revising NCIC training materials for compliance, which approach ensures accuracy? A. Consulting official NCIC policy manuals and audit guidelines. B. Allowing instructors to rely on personal interpretations. C. Using outdated training documents for continuity. D. Relying on trainee feedback only. 28. Which mentoring technique best supports collaborative problem-solving in NCIC teams? A. Facilitating group debriefs after simulations. Avoiding group activities to maintain control. C. Restricting feedback to one-on-one conversations only. D. Correcting errors privately without group input.